In the western part of the United States, there is a vast area of uncultivated land, embracing in particular the states of Arizona, Wyoming, Utah, and South Dakota, which was originally referred to by the native Indians and early white pioneers as the Badlands of the West. But today, this very colorful expanse of scenic grandeur is being converted into gigantic national parks, abounding in natural wonders which attract visitors from all parts of the world. And the Grand Canyon of the Colorado is generally conceded to be the most spectacular of all the so-called Badlands. Perhaps there is no place on the earth that better illustrates the story of geological evolution than Bryce Canyon in the state of Utah, where the relentless drip of raindrops, aided by ice and wind, carrying away a grain of sand at a time, has carved and is continuing to carve these fantastic monuments. The native Indians made it a rule never to be caught in the canyons after dark, for they believed them to be haunted by the demons of the night. But to modern men, this divine spectacle is a revelation of the colossal forces of Mother Nature, who for her own purpose broods and rears and elevates, and also for her own purpose levels, sweeps away, and destroys. Natural bridges, spires, minarets, arches, gables, all the achievements of architecture were formed here long before the coming of mankind. A celestial city, as it were, which has been reflecting the flush of morning and the glow of evening since time began. And now we come to the Badlands of South Dakota and Wyoming, where Wild Bill Hickok, Calamity Jane, Deadwood Dick, and other notorious characters of the frontier days dashed boldly across the pages of American history. Protected by the remoteness as well as the natural fortresses of this isolated land, they lived, gambled, or preserved peace, and died by hanging or gunfire, according to their destiny. Needless to say, it was the discovery of gold and the greed for gold that inspired most of the thrilling tales we hear about this gold-colored land, and it seems fitting that the most conspicuous landmark in this region should be known as the Devil's Tower. This remarkable mass of volcanic rock is about 1,700 feet in diameter at the base, and it rises to a height of over 1,000 feet, forming one of the most astounding natural rock formations in the world. Long before the coming of the white pioneers, the native Indians were awe-stricken by this remarkable oddity, and among other things, they believed that an evil spirit beat a gigantic drum upon its summit during thunderstorms. Within view of this conspicuous landmark, which can be seen on a clear day at a distance of almost 100 miles, there is a vast tract of land set apart for a colorful tribe of Sioux Indians who entertain us with the so-called sun dance, inaugurated by their forefathers in this very region hundreds of years ago. Although this dance is now associated directly with the sun, its original significance is believed to have been based upon vengeance. For example, if a friend or a close relative of an Indian was killed by a rival tribe, he confirmed his vow of vengeance by dancing from sunrise to sunset, blowing a whistle as he danced by way of attracting to him the spirit of the deceased, which he believed would aid him in achieving a just revenge. Today, however, this monotonous dance seems to be confined to a form of sun worship, in which the dancers only change their position to follow the course of the sun. More colorful and more varied in form than the sun dance is the war dance, which in former times was performed by the Sioux Indians before a war or to celebrate a victory. Incidentally, it has been generally assumed that the population of the North American Indian has been diminishing so rapidly that it will soon pass from the face of the earth. But this is a commonly accepted error, for since the census of 1865, there has been a substantial increase in the native Indian population. And today it is estimated that there are almost 400,000 Indians now living in the United States, or a little less than half of the original population. And all this transpires within the shadow of the Black Hills of South Dakota, one of the oldest regions in the world. As a matter of fact, geologists claim that the granite formations in these hills have existed for as long as 40 millions of years. And it seems fitting, therefore, that this part of the United States should have been chosen as a suitable place in which to carve one of the most impressive sculptures ever carved upon the face of the earth. Traveling around the world, we have seen colossal records in stone, commemorating the memory of peoples who lived in the dawn of history. But on Mount Rushmore in the Black Hills of South Dakota, we behold a monument that greatly minimizes the importance of all the others. And as we approach this wonder of modern sculpture, we recall that the Mount Rushmore National Commission was created by an act of Congress in 1929. Here in the hard granite is being carved the faces of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and Theodore Roosevelt, four great Americans who represent distinct developments in the birth, growth, and progress of the United States. These gigantic faces are 60 feet from the top of the forehead to the chin, and the figures are on the scale of men 465 feet in height. Washington and Jefferson adjoin each other, and to the right of them is the face of Lincoln, now in the process of formation. Unfortunately, at the time of our visit, the face of Theodore Roosevelt was still an idea in the brain of the sculptor. And as a matter of fact, the entire memorial had hardly begun to show the colossal proportions and thrilling effects that await its final completion. The idea of creating this great sculpture is credited to Doane Robinson, a former historian of South Dakota, and the execution of the idea is in the hands of Gutzon Borglum, one of the world's foremost sculptors. Incidentally, when Mr. Borglum was told that the granite in which he was carving his masterpiece would erode at the rate of 1 inch every 100,000 years, he patriotically added another 12 inches to the nose of Washington, thereby perpetuating that famous nose for an additional 1,200,000 years. In the centuries to come, many changes will affect the evolution of mankind, and the maps of the earth will be subjected to many variations. But here upon Mount Rushmore in the Black Hills of South Dakota will remain a monument, defying the ramifications of time, commemorating for 1,000,000 years or more the memory of four great Americans who helped to establish one of the greatest republics ever inaugurated in the history of mankind.